Hey, it's Dave Brown here, host of Now with Dave Brown on AMI. Check out this latest highlight from the show. Picking a career path, it's not always easy. It's not always linear either. I've told you about my weird path that brought me into broadcasting. There were some stops in the financial sector. There were some stops in the blue-collar sector. I even worked in the, let's call it the quasi-legal sector in the sports gambling world for a little bit. The most important thing to me at the end of the day was I found something that I'm deeply passionate about. And I'm not alone in finding a career that I love. Ryan Chin is here to tell you a bit about his journey. Ryan is a certified financial planner with Sun Life Financial. Hey, good morning, Ryan. Nice to chat with you once again.
Hey, Dave, always a pleasure.
So, Ryan, I mentioned a couple of the outpost stops I made on my way to a radio and TV broadcasting. How did your career path lead you to becoming a financial planner?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, if you would have asked me, 20 years ago, are you a finance guy, Ryan? Do you want to sit and look at charts and talk numbers and do planning people's futures? I would have said absolutely not. 20 years ago, I was basking on the shores of Lake Joseph, running a summer camp for blind, partially sighted folks, enjoying each and every day lakeside. Moving forward from there, I mean, it wasn't a natural progression, but what was the natural progression was the relationship building and sort of making, having that forward thinking and strategizing around, how are we going to affect change every year? And that sort of moved the needle forward a bit.
So Ryan, as you started shifting gears, and believe me, I can understand how it might have been difficult to leave that lakeside life to move into a more of the suit and tie life. What kind of education did you pursue? How much continuing education and certification did you pursue?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Dave, while I was, in that other role, I decided, I'd got a recreation and leisure diploma starting out my career. Following high school, I went to college for that recreation and leisure diploma because I thought that was where I wanted to go. I mean, I'm a past Olympian, so that kind of put me in place to keep that rec and leisure lifestyle. But while on the lake and at doing that sort of business type job, I started understanding, hey, there's so much more to business than I don't even have a clue. So I decided to challenge my MBA. That was step one. Recognizing that having a diploma was going to get me only so far, but having a degree would help get me to the next level. So exploring that Master's of Business Administration degree, that started opening my eyes to so much more in the world.
Ryan, in my various stops along the way, ended up becoming a mature student for my radio broadcasting degree. And because I was a mature student, but also because I knew my disability was going to limit the entry-level positions I could get in the broadcasting field, I was grinding hard for those couple of years at Algonquin College. Like, I'm talking 60, 70, 80-hour weeks every single week. How did disability catalyze the feeling for you to go above and beyond with your education?
Dave, you're definitely preaching to the choir. I'm sure we could share, commiserate, I'll use that term, many hours of school, work, and no life balance. I mean, I worked full time while getting back into that continuing ed as a mature student, challenging the MBA and going through that process wiped out any thought of life that I would have had for about 2.5 years. It was certainly a grind. 80, 90 hour, 100-hour weeks were not unheard of. Being partially sighted and blind to much of the extent, I felt like I needed to just do more be more competitive in how I performed, so that I wasn't just an average student. So I really dug in, try to learn as much as I can to make sure that I can excel in the field. And happy to say that I graduated magna cum laude, so
Mm.
that's not bad.
That's pretty darn good. Now, Ryan, just because you have success at the academic level doesn't mean there aren't still going to be barriers to entry once you try to enter the profession. I mentioned that in radio broadcasting, if you don't have a driver's license, if you can't drive, forget getting jobs in small towns. You've got to immediately start working in mid-major or major markets, which is tough to do with limited experience. So what kind of barriers to entry did you face even after you got this degree, even after you graduated with distinguishment? What kind of barriers were you facing as you moved into the profession?
Yeah, well, I mean, all of the above, Dave. I mean, at the end of the day, when you go to apply for a job, and as soon as that, I mean, I never hid my blindness from any employer. I walked in proudly with my cane to make sure that this was upfront and aware. I had lots of, I'll call them pity interviews, because my network was fairly strong, is fairly strong, that I was able to get interviews at many institutions, firms that I wanted to apply for, because I would just call the CEO and say, hey, you know who I am, get me an interview, and I'd be in. Their staff would give me that interview, but more, I think, because it was a directive than an interest.
Mm.
Until I stopped leaning on my network and started doing the groundwork myself to kick down some doors, there was no true opportunity. Everyone saw the blindness before they saw the person, and while discouraging, certainly did not hold me back, and definitely a hurdle. Even getting into the financial industry, I mean, this is a visual industry. Driving to meet clients, filling out
Paperwork,
papers.
tiny fonts paperwork.
Exactly, tiny file paper charts, graphs. I mean, so I mean, right away I had to hire a staff person. So not only did I come into an industry where I needed to earn my own salary, a fully percent commission base. I had to promise someone else that I was going to pay them a guaranteed salary at the end of the year. So, I mean, talk about barriers to entry. I will say, coming in at Sun Life Financial was certainly, a blessing, as well as a struggle, all at the same time. Lots of supports around me, but it took my hard work, perseverance, and dedication to get me to where I am today.
Ryan, right when I finished university, I actually got a job with one of Canada's major banks through one of their equity hiring programs. And I was actually pretty stunned that they made me an account manager right out of university, where I was deeply unqualified with my political science degree. And I didn't last super long in that job because there were parts of it that I just didn't like. I didn't like wearing a suit to work every day. At the time, I did not like waking up at 6 in the morning to go to work, although the joke is now on me because now I wake up at 5 in the morning to go to work. And for part of my broadcasting career, I woke up at 3:15 in the morning to go to work. So the joke eventually was on me. But I also really liked parts of it. I liked talking about investing. I liked helping people building investment strategies, which was part of my role. And I really liked it. What do you like about working in the financial industry and in your role as a financial planner?
Yeah, I mean, great question, Dave. And I'll tell you, working with people one to one, getting to know them as a person, getting to know their families, learning about what it is where they are today, what got them there, and where do they want to go? What is their planning time horizon, and what are those goals look like? And then really being able to roll up my sleeves and get involved with helping them to get there. um, you know, uh, as a certified financial planner, and being here as part of Sun Life Financial, we get a lot of exposure right into the client's paradigm. And having that intimate awareness and the knowledge behind it, able to really get in and affect some change. Like, I'll tell you, that drives me every single day.
Yeah, it's actually gotten to a point where my friends are annoyed with me at the bar sometimes, Ryan, when we start talking about investments, and I'm like, let me pull out my phone and talk about my strategy. And they're like, can we just talk about hockey tonight, Dave? Like, do we have to talk about money? Ryan, what advice would you give to someone who wants to go into the financial industry, and maybe even specifically your role as a financial planner?
Yeah, well, I mean, I know your audience today and anyone across the country. I mean, if you're thinking about getting into the financial industry, definitely, do your homework, do some legwork. I mean, there are some exams that you need to take and pass, but definitely take time to speak with some of the different institutions out there and get to know their strategies and what are the supports around those institutions in terms of onboarding you as an individual, no matter what your ability level is, because truly the supports in place are what helps build that framework around you. I do know that Sun Life Financial has a strong support network in place to get you onboarded and properly get you started, while others, they too. And I think the key is talk, ask questions, be transparent, and be a go-getter. This is not an industry where anyone is going to give you anything. Just like you, Dave, you understand that challenge. No one came and said, hey, now you're the head morning guy, right? You had to fight tooth and nail to get there, and that's how it is when you want to challenge your own destiny.
Ryan, I've been given the opportunity to speak to a lot of young people, especially young broadcasters, over the course of the last decade. And understand the advice that I'm about to share comes from a position of privilege, that I was able to fart around in my early to mid 20s for a couple of years and then return to school. I acknowledge that not everybody's in that position, but let me tell you, Ryan, the journey that I took between age 22 and 26, the number of weird and odd jobs that I did is what's framed me as the human that I am today. It makes me a better broadcaster. And I would also say that kind of life experience is the kind of things that would make somebody better in any field they work in. Because you know what you develop? You develop empathy and understanding of different people in different positions at different times in their life.
Absolutely. That perspective that you've gained through your, call it odd job career path has developed your understanding to be more aware of what goes on to others.
Yeah. Hey, Ryan, this was really cool. We've had you on a couple times as a columnist on the show, really jumping right into the financial industry and the financial sector. And we never really did this. We never really sort of introduced who Ryan is. So, Ryan, this was fantastic getting to know you a little bit in this segment.
Yeah, I truly appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity, Dave. I truly appreciate it. And I look forward to chatting next time when we're going to speak more about what's going on in the financial industry.
Yeah, I think we're talking next week, so don't go too far, Ryan.
Take care. Thank you so much.
That's Ryan Bradley Chin, a certified financial planner with Sun Life Financial. Do you want to dive into more conversations like this? Watch Now with Dave Brown weekdays at 9 a.m. Eastern on AMI-TV or download the podcasts wherever you listen. Do you want to dive into more conversations like this? Watch Now with Dave Brown weekdays at 9 a.m. Eastern on AMI-TV or download the podcasts wherever you listen.